No, it's me that's talking about it.
Brilliant.
Welcome to
My Guy Reviews, the podcast.
Hello, and welcome to My Guy Reviews. I'm My Guy Monkey, and I'm joined today, hopefully, by My Guy Brig.
Yes, we're back.
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, apart from, always being ill. But apart from that, it's all good.
It's that damn virus.
Yeah, of course, that's the big news at the moment, isn't it? The coronavirus.
Fake news.
So, yeah.
It's not a real virus.
It's not real, but I'm probably going to have it. It's fine.
Exactly.
So, yeah, tune in next week for just My Guy Brig.
Yes.
We're recording today on Valentine's Day, and it's a very special day. For me, I have a date tonight.
Nice.
With someone at the cinema.
Oh, brilliant.
And that day is with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes.
Released
Oh,
today.
that's a preview already.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yes.
It's the first Valentine date I've ever had, I think.
Oh. You and Sonic. And also, the good thing is they CGI'd Sonic, so it looks so much nicer now. It looks cuddly.
We're discussing that already.
We jumped ahead.
He likes cuddly, yeah. But I like the original trailer one. I don't know.
His teeth weren't that nice.
It was really terrible looking, but I loved it. I think he looks a bit better now, but he still looks a little bit silly, which is good. So I am looking forward to it. It reminds me of Detective Pikachu and Dora the Explorer. So it should just be a bit of fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, nice.
Are you going to see that?
No.
No?
No, I might do. I have I never had a Sega. I was growing up. I would have been a Nintendo fanboy, and then straight from there I went to PlayStation fanboy. So Sega, I never really got the Sonic games. I played them, I think, when one of the Sonic games were available on the iOS. But it's so late then. It's literally just pressing the right button and jumping every so often. I felt as though there's no skill to it in the first few levels, but I'm sure there's more to it. I just never got into it. I love Mario too much.
You love Mario too much?
Yeah.
I knew this all about you already, luckily. But that hasn't changed what the topic is exactly, because it is topical, and it is Sonic the Hedgehog, but it's a versus episode.
Oh, nice.
Basically, it's a rip-off of your Who Played It Better.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I just give you two things sometimes, and you've got to tell me which is better.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily...
Mario, obviously.
Mario's not going to come up. I'm not a Mario fan, sorry. So.
He's had so many crossover hits. He's had the Mario series. He's had, car games. He's had at the Olympics. He's got Super Mario. Yeah, Mario transcends genre. Yeah.
Transgender, yes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Gender, yes. He's
That's
the
not
best.
an offensive thing to say, just saying. Okay, so I thought we'd go through just how many games there are, a little bit of the history of Sonic the Hedgehog, and ask you to give me definitive answers and explanations on your decisions of some verses. Okay, so 1991, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Before my time.
I mean, tell me who Sonic the Hedgehog is first of all. You must know that much.
He's a blue hedgehog.
Okay.
I don't know. Is he mutated? Because why is he so quick and other hedgehogs not? They're the things I don't know. So
to be honest, I think he's just from a different planet because he's got a lot of different friends that have all these different abilities. I don't think it has anything to do with mutations.
So is he the quickest one? So I know Tails used to spin, but is Tails a hedgehog?
Already, Tails comes up in Sonic 2, so jumping ahead. But he's a fox with two tails for some reason.
Not a hedgehog. Okay,
not a hedgehog.
Okay.
And obviously Sonic's supposed to be fast, but then in Sonic 2, Tails is just as fast because
he keeps up with him, doesn't he?
He needs to be able to keep up, exactly. But I guess maybe he uses his tails to keep up. But that's already mixed things up already.
I know Robotnik is the main evil scientist who steals.
Yeah.
I guess he's trying to steal the animals in wherever Sonic lives, whatever that world is.
Okay.
Is that his thing? And then Sonic, I guess, needs rings. I don't understand the rings. Is that is that his life force? Because without rings, he's going to die.
So there's not a lot of
is he just a thief? He likes to steal rings.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a lot of learning for you. Robotnik is out to steal the Chaos Emeralds, which have harness powers for him.
Oh, okay, so not the animals.
And he uses the animals. He comes down and he uses robots, and he turns all of the animals on the planet into robots.
Ah, okay, yes, that makes
sense.
The
animals are still alive, so it's all fine. They're all cutesy little animals, but they're stuck inside robot traps, acting as little mean robots.
Oh.
And so Sonic doesn't actually kill anyone. He just sort of pops open these little machines, and the animals jump out.
Oh, good. He saves them all.
Not that you know the difference when you're just running around just killing everything. They've tried to make it child friendly. And yeah, you're always out, it seems, to defeat Dr. Robotnik, or as he's known in Japan and I think America as well, maybe.
Yeah.
Other territories, he's known as Dr. Eggman.
Eggman, okay.
Dr. Eggman, which is a bit of a Latin name.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I much prefer Robotnik.
Yeah, because he's got robotic kind of army, doesn't he? And he's obviously he comes in a robotic weapon as well of some sort. So yeah, Robotnik does sound better.
Yeah, I think so. And you asked about the rings as well. I mean, for a super sort of hero, Sonic the Hedgehog, he dies in one hit.
Yes.
So that this quite quickly. I suppose he gets extra lives, but the rings, basically all you do is you collect the rings, and then it acts as he picks them up, and then for some reason if he gets hit he just drops all the rings rather than dying. And if you can grab some of those rings again,
but there's no way to catch all of them, is there? So if you had 100, you got hit, they'll only show like 5 or 6 on screen, won't they?
Yeah, that's true. 10, or depending on what game it is, and you've got a chance to just grab them before you. Did
you do any research into this to find out, are they fans of Lord of the Rings, the makers of this? Is there a one ring that rules all the rings?
It seems to be all about the Chaos Emeralds, but they do have a Master Emerald later on in the series, so clearly they've been inspired. One emerald to rule them all.
Yes.
Yeah. Clearly a rip-off of Lord of the Rings. So yeah, we'll have to figure out who the characters relate to then. Which one's Legolas? Which one's Bilbo?
Well, I guess Legolas is like elf, so he could be Tails.
Mm.
Anyone who's slow could be any of the hobbits. Sonic's friends. Yeah. I don't know the characters that well. Who dies early on? Because that'd be Boromir.
Boromir. I don't think any of them properly die.
Sonic could be Aragorn.
Mm.
Because he's the king.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know how far we're going to take this, because
I don't know many of the characters. I'm just making them up. I
mean, it starts off with anyway. The first game.
Yeah, let's go back to the first game. On Sega.
Just has Sonic in it and Robotnik.
What console?
On the Mega Drive.
Oh, Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah, but they also released one for the Master System and Game Gear, so there's
okay,
which are completely different games. They're not like rehashes; they're just like
new levels and new stuff.
Yeah, new games. And the Master System games are actually quite good, and the Game Gear games are quite good. Funny thing with the Mega Drive game is it's basically exactly the same version as like the other international versions, but our region slows games down slightly. But they didn't. Okay. So the very first Mega Drive Sonic is playing at like about 75% speed, 80% speed or something. So it's not really as fast as he's supposed to be. Like.
Oh wow! So in other countries, they're actually playing him quicker.
Yeah, Sonic was actually faster when he debuted in other countries than Europe and UK. But yeah, so I guess the which question are we going to ask you first then? Ring, because you don't know anything about these things, and we're going through one step by step. So we'll just carry on with the history.
Yes, let's start with the first one. Yep.
So the first game, Sonic beats Robotnik.
Yes, he does.
That's pretty much it. We've got his character pretty much down. And then Sonic 2 in 1992 really introduces Tails, who is just as fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, the first question: Sonic versus Tails.
Oh, who would win in a fight, or who would win? Who would I prefer to play?
Who do you? Just versus. Which one wins? There's no criteria.
There's no reasoning. It's just they're having a sandwich together. Who'd eat a sandwich quicker?
Exactly. So you get to decide which battleground you pick for them, really. But it's an overall.
I guess Tails, only because when you play the game, you're right. Tails always keeps up with Sonic for whatever reason. All of a sudden, he flies off screen, and then before you know, he's back there. So he's got either teleportation powers that we'll never know of, or he's just super quick. Plus, he can fly, which Sonic could never do. So if there's a ring that was really high up in the air, Tails in theory could fly up to get it, while Sonic couldn't. So I'll give it to Tails.
Sonic isn't doing very well already. And yeah, later on in the series, Tails actually has some flying he can do as well as a playable character. So yeah, I mean, he's pretty much got the edge. But you've got to remember that Sonic is actually supposed to be fast. So I think they just sort of balanced them out so that they could play together properly in Sonic 2. So Sonic is faster.
No. No, I'm not going to give him that. No. If the character can keep up with the other character, then he's not. Tails is just as quick. There's got to be something going on with Tails that makes him so quick. And there's a secret that we're totally unaware of that we'll never find out.
Yeah, developers.
Exactly. Plus, the flying option is not just running on the floor. He almost glides and he floats a little bit. So yeah, I'll give it to Tails.
Okay, good. I'll go straight on to the next major installment on the Mega Drive then, Sonic 3, which introduces Knuckles the Echidna. So there's another character for you to learn already.
Okay.
And this is a red guy who looks like just a red hedgehog, but he's an echidna, which is apparently different. Their spikes go in a different direction, I think.
Is he quick? What is Knuckles' deal? What can Knuckles do?
Okay, so Sonic 3, he's the antagonist. He's the bad guy.
Okay. So no Robotnik after 2?
But Robotnik is pulling the strings behind the scene.
Oh, I'm with you. Okay. So he's got Knuckles to do his dirty work for him.
Yeah. And that's why you then have a game called Sonic and Knuckles, which comes out after that, which is a directly part of the same story, where Knuckles finds out that he's been tricked and he joins the good guys team. So you do find out that, yes, all three of the characters are still just as fast. Except that Knuckles can punch.
Punch, okay. Punch, yep.
And he's got a strong punch, and he can glide like Tails can, except he can't fly. Also, he can now cling to walls, which is quite useful.
Hold on.
Yeah.
But can he climb up or just cling?
Yeah, he can climb up the walls.
Oh, brilliant! That's so much easier.
Yeah. He's got so many more options.
In Sonic 3, was he a playable character or was he just a villain?
Okay, so this is a bit. Maybe you don't know about this section. So Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles were developed together. Okay. 1994, both released for the Mega Drive. They were basically one game, and then they were split in half to make more money.
Yes, that makes sense.
Something like that. They wanted to release one sooner than before they'd finished the other half, or something like there's various reasons.
Money.
But the game, the second game, which had a special feature that people that had it will remember. It was the lock-on feature of the cartridge. So you could put Sonic and Knuckles into the console, and it had a cartridge slot on the top, and you could plug Sonic 3 onto it, and it would become Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Oh, so you could play as Knuckles as a playable character.
Yeah, you could play as Knuckles in Sonic 3 now as one entire long story.
How cool is that? People don't do games like that, do they? That's such a cool idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, if you locked Sonic 2 into the top instead of Sonic 3, you could play Sonic 2 as normal, but you could play as Knuckles.
Oh, nice.
Grab onto things.
That is such a cool thing to do.
That's
See,
right.
developers back then.
Really?
No,
you missed out.
No, that's incredible because nowadays you just you buy a disc and you're kind of left on your own. You play online or whatever, but you never have this mode where you can do backward compatibility in that manner. That is such a good idea. Even with Borderlands, where you've got the new characters in Borderlands 2, they're not playable characters, so you can't take what's in Borderlands 2 and play Borderlands 1 with. That's an awesome idea. That's such a good idea.
Yeah,
they don't do it more. Yeah, you know what? I'm almost warming towards a Sonic game. Maybe one day.
Yeah, you're getting there. I mean, I've heard Americans mostly call this the best Sonic game.
Number 3.
Yeah. Because, mostly, I think because of the story. So, in the other two games, you just sort of you just land in the level and you understand the story from what's going on. But in Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you had in between levels sort of cutscenes.
Okay.
They're all silent, so there wasn't any dialogue, but there were visual storytelling. So so you could see what was happening and Knuckles having the emeralds and Sonic and Tails arriving and stuff like that. So I suppose for story wise, it's pretty impressive. For me, I got stuck in it, so and I didn't have it at first, so I'm more of a Sonic 2 fan. I think that's the best one. But there we go. Where would you stand?
I kind of like
versus round again.
I think it's a cool idea. I mean,
versus 1, 2, or 3.
I've never played any of these games, but if I could put Knuckles into a game, I like the idea of him going back one game. So obviously he became available, like you said, in 3, but to play him as 2. So if you completed 2, and now you can play as Knuckles and you can walk up walls and you open up a different element to the game that wasn't there before. I think that's a cool. Yeah, I'll give it to number 2, but only if you could play as Knuckles, the new character that was introduced in 3.5.
2 and 3. Okay.
I like the merger. I like the merger of games. I think that's such a good idea.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll go through the history a bit more. The thing is, those are the main games that I've actually played.
Okay.
So generally, I mean, the Master System had a Sonic 2 as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it was so good, but it had its own game called Sonic Chaos, which was a bit better. So it had 1, 2, and a thing called Chaos. I think Knuckles might have been involved in that actually, but I can't be sure. I can't remember.
There's one on the Nintendo Wii as well. There's a Sonic game on the Wii.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. So they did. Obviously, the story of Sega is that after the Mega Drive, they kind of messed up their branding, and they had a whole load of consoles, and eventually closed down as a console maker. So then, all of their exclusives they now make for Nintendo.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a whole load of other games in between there, and they had a game for the Sega CD called Sonic CD, which involved some time travel, which was quite a good one as well. But yeah, I mean, really, it comes down to the Dreamcast and when they moved into the 3D era for when we really get to the next big stage for the Sonic games. And they, of course, they were produced also once the Dreamcast started to die. they were produced for the GameCube as well. So these are like the GameCube. These are the Sonic Adventure games. Have you heard of these ones?
No.
No, not at all.
No. If it's Mario Adventure, I'd be like, yes.
Okay, so Sonic Adventure, I haven't even played them properly, but I know I've seen enough of them to have an underlying knowledge of them all. They're the first leap into 3D for Sonic. Some of it done quite well, some of it not so much. They introduced some new characters, so we've got we've got Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles still there, but now we've got Amy Rose. Have you heard of her? No, she's basically a pink hedgehog.
Okay, she's definitely a hedgehog then.
Yeah, she's definitely a hedgehog as far as I know. And also Big the Cat is one of the characters who never really turns up again. And also there's a robot character in it as well. And the big no, it's Ed 209 or something. No, that's not right. That's Robocop, isn't it?
C3PO.
C3PO. That's not that bad. See if I can see his name.
BB-8.
We do need E102 Gamma was his silly name.
I wasn't that far off.
So I was close to Ed 209, whatever it was. The big difference in Sonic Adventure though is that you actually had to play with all of those different characters. They had their own story and they had their own move sets, like you were saying, with the differences. We've already discussed the other three, but Amy Rose had a hammer that she could use because for reasons.
I thought.
Yeah, I guess so. Except that she's not that amazing.
Okay.
It's kind of like she comes up in the Sonic animated series as well, and she's like a doting girlfriend to Sonic, but it's like Sonic's not really going out with her. She's like a stalker, basically. And then we've got Big the Cat, who he's a big cat. He's slow and he's got a fishing rod, so his levels involve fishing, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of
boring.
Kind of odd. Probably, I think it's considered the most boring of the levels, the size of that game to do. And then you've got the robot that fires laser beams, so I guess he's got a long range weapon, where all the others don't really have that. All of their characters in Sonic Adventure have different aims and objectives. So it does mix up like what you have to do in things. Like I think Knuckles has to treasure hunt and find things.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember the rest. The Big the Cat has to go fishing, clearly.
Yes, stereotype.
And so, like the Hedgehog has to go fast and defeat bosses, and I think Tails has to basically defeat the bosses as well, because it's sort of their adventure to take on Robotnik again. I won't ask you the story because you won't know at all.
No.
But this time it involves an entity called Chaos, who was created to defend the Chow, which are these annoying little creatures. And Robotnik wants to unleash chaos to obviously use him to overtake the world and all that stuff, to take over the world. And Sonic and Tails notice and want to stop him. And I don't know if you've ever even seen this level, but I think the best thing about this game is the first level for Sonic, which is set in San Francisco. Have you not seen this at all?
No.
Okay, so I recommend you have a look up at this. Look it up at some point. But it's basically the very first level is a speed run 3D, like third person, of Sonic the Hedgehog just goes speeding downhill through San Francisco city, with like trams and all sorts of traffic and stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of crazy. Like for an attempt at 3D, it's not that bad. It was well renowned. It's still renowned as a really really good game, along with Adventure 2, which can't be said for all the games in the future. So they start to get sort of more mixed later on. But I think there are still flaws with them, such as some of the slow characters and some of the camera angles and stuff, which was sort of something developers were struggling with at that time. So out of the new characters versus, you've got Amy, Big the Cat, and you've got E102.
I guess none of them really appeal to me, but I guess
Big doesn't seem to have any like personality that I know of.
No. Well, Big the Cat, I guess, because he's a cat. It's a different animal completely thus far. Yeah. So we've got hedgehogs. You've got Tails, that's kind of like a hedgehog. You've got Knuckles, who's kind of like a hedgehog. You've got the pink one, who is a hedgehog. Sonic, who's a hedgehog. So they're all kind of similar animals-ish.
Yeah.
So I like the idea they went for broke and they went for a cat. Crazy, right? So yeah, I say the cat.
You say go, but what about Amy Rose, the first female protagonist?
Nah. Is it Tails female?
Tails is male.
Oh, I always thought Tails was female.
His full name is Miles Tails Prowler. So Miles, I think, is a.
I thought it was Michelle Tails.
No, it's Miles, like in
Miles
Frasier.
Teller. Niles.
Like
yeah. Okay. No. Yeah, I'm sticking with the cat.
Sticking with the cat. Okay.
Yeah.
You're sticking with the slowest, most irritating level character.
Yes.
The one that you just don't want to play.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to swing for the. Yeah, you got to take a big swing. Sometimes you swing and you miss. Sometimes you swing and you hit. But you got to go different. And I think the cat was that idea. Yeah, they swung and they missed to the point where they had to close down their consoles as well because they're so bad. But yeah, no, I think you got to go different, don't you? Because you can get kind of it can become quite mundane and it can be the same thing, same characters or similar characters. So sometimes going completely different. And I know the power set may not be that interesting in the character and stuff, but it's like the Jar Jar Binks, right? You got to try something.
Yes, I mean, I think fishing is an interesting idea. I mean, it did pave the way maybe for Sega Big Bass fishing later on.
Oh yeah,
their fishing games. I don't know. I don't really like fishing in games. I don't know about you. I don't really like fishing in reality either. So.
Yeah, I think fishing is different. In reality, the whole point of kind of you go out fishing is you spend the day out. You go early morning. You catch the early fish. You're there. You have a few drinks and stuff, and it's more the social element of it all. Sitting at home in front of your games console and pretending you're fishing. Yeah, it doesn't do it for me.
It works for me in Red Dead Redemption 2.
But that's a one-off. How many hours did you? Yeah, how many hours did you swim though? Just the one? Fish, sorry.
Fish,
1 hour, 2 hours.
Swimming, you just die. So fishing, not long, not that long. Maybe half an hour. Maybe half an hour, really trying to catch something and failing and just pissed off. But I couldn't catch a single thing. There are other games I've fished in as well. Terraria I've fished in, Stardew Valley I've fished in. But again, I was really aiming to catch some things and then eventually didn't and gave up.
Exactly,
so, just like real fishing, I guess. But like why would you want to turn that into a game? Just trying to fish and fail. Surely we want an endorphin rush of actually succeeding when we play video games.
I bet people find fishing quite easy. It's just you.
Maybe. Probably. Anyway, so that was Sonic Adventure, released in 1999, and then 2003 for the GameCube, and Sonic Adventure 2 released in 2001 for both Dreamcast and GameCube. So that was when they're moving solidly towards, right, we're releasing games off of Nintendo now. So 2001.
Start doing other consoles, yeah.
Yeah, they start releasing their games to other consoles, which is my suspicion why they started to suck a bit as well. Like they wanted people to enjoy their games and be like, they wanted people to buy their games because it's Sonic and it's their icon.
Yeah.
But they didn't want them to be too good because they're on these other people's consoles, even though they're not releasing their own consoles anymore. So maybe that's just silly thinking, but I guess they still had a Dreamcast at that point.
I think sometimes sometimes you want people to realize that the game that you're making is only good if it's on your console.
Yeah.
Well, if you put it on something else, then you can say, oh yeah, our game was so much better, but nobody was buying it, and then therefore you see these subpar versions of our games on other consoles.
Yeah.
When it could have been so good if you just stuck to our console.
Yeah, it's been done before, definitely. So I wouldn't put it past them. But also, I think they started to lose the plot with Sonic as time went on. But yeah. Sonic Adventure 2, it was still another good game. Apparently, people still liked it. And in this one, the plot is I don't know, a secret weapon of some sort, and they're going after Robotnik again, or Robotnik's grandkid or something like that. It gets confusing for me now at this stage. Just stick to the basic plot, you know. He's going for the Chaos Emeralds. So that makes sense. You don't need more deep plots. But I think this one started to introduce more deeper plots with Robotnik's kids and grandkids and things like that. But this did make a notable difference in that you could finally play as Eggman in this game. Dr. Robotnik, Eggman.
Oh, wicked, yeah.
Yeah, so you could play as 3 of the protagonists, and you could play as 3 of the antagonists. So you had Sonic and Shadow. Shadow, have you heard of Shadow?
No, just Gladiator Shadow.
Okay, he is Shadow the Hedgehog, so another hedgehog.
Oh no, yeah, I thought so.
This is a problem.
Dare I ask?
Too many hedgehogs.
Yeah.
Too many hedgehogs. He's a black hedgehog, basically.
Of course he is, because he's Shadow.
Yes. You had Tails and Eggman, Robotnik, who had similar moves as well. And then you had Knuckles or Rouge the Bat. So at least you got another different creature there. Rouge the Bat was a female bat, slightly alluring looking bat, but basically a humanoid bat that could do the same things as Knuckles: punch, climb, glide, that sort of thing. So each of the pairings sort of had similar movesets, so they could do the same things and equal things. And again, it was a 3D game, and they took it, a good attempt at sort of doing 3D games, really.
It seems like that way, because consoles were changing back then, weren't they? So you're talking about much better kind of 3D rendering in these machines. So you have to shoot for something else. The platform, not saying platform games are dead, but they were slowly dying down, were they?
Yeah, I mean, you can still play platform games now, and they can be great. But at that time, the 3D was what it was all about. That's what everyone was moving into. So everyone had to try and tackle it. And I mean, I think they added. I think the problem with the 3D games is that they're very much linear. Like the 2D games had different levels. Like you could take higher routes and lower routes and medium routes, and find little secrets and things. But the 3D games sort of tried to keep you on that track.
Yeah.
Try to keep me. It can be a very fast track for Sonic, and can be quite fun to enjoy. But like there wasn't much options for you, so it's more just about the speed. And then obviously the other characters that got to explore, but Sonic just had to go fast. So that maybe let it down a bit. So at last we get to a versus then, 2D or 3D Sonic.
2D.
2D.
I think he's better off just running on a platform. That's it. Sometimes you have to go back to basics. On PlayStation Plus as well, every so often you get a whole bunch of games. Sometimes you get like an indie game, and some can be like a scrolling platformer game. And it's good to sometimes just play an old school kind of platform game. 3D for Sonic, I don't think it works better. Because running is so much better when he runs on a straight line and you can jump up and down. And I always like
to think that 3D could work better if they just solved it, if they just cracked the problem of it.
But when they did the 3D runs, do you remember when you have to run through the rings to collect the rings?
Yeah.
You're in this like half pipe, and you have to run down the thing.
You remember something? Yeah.
I never liked that.
Sonic 2 bonus stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like that because sometimes you have to get the ring and it has to be all the way around. And those 3D parts of the game, it just shows you what the game would be like if it was all 3D in that time. So 2D for me.
I mean, props to it though. That 3D on a Mega Drive was pretty amazing. But yeah, luckily the games weren't really like that in 3D. They were definitely more open looking, and jumping between different platforms and stuff while you're running. Well, they did have something good about them, but it was more sort of jumping between rails. You could never really jump between proper platforms. They just have these sort of grind rail bits where you just land on the rail and just slide along.
Yeah,
quite a lot of those. So you're saying 2D, and I think from a retro perspective, I think you're definitely right. I mean, there's a whole load of games that came in between now and the future that we're going to come up to, but basically Sonic Mania and Generations are the games that sort of really nailed Sonic again. So people like the 2D Sonic.
Yeah, because Sonic fits that 2D world, while Mario can fit in both 2D and 3D. Because if you've got a 3D world, Mario's not needed. He doesn't need to sprint around it. He can admire the world. He can interact with the world. He's there to the world is a massive part of the game. In Sonic, you're trying to go from one jump to the next thing. You're doing it quick.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about speed. Yeah.
So So for me, 2D works. Really works, though.
Definitely. I think you get to see more in 2D and make more decisions, whereas 3D, they're like, as you say, he's got to go fast. So then they think, all we've got to deliver is a roller coaster ride, and that's where it ends up limited because all you've got is the ride. And if you want a roller coaster ride, you just watch a video or something. You don't have to really press the buttons.
Plus, also like if you build a 3D world, you want the gamer to go into the world and immerse themselves in that world. That's the whole point of building it. With Sonic, because of the speed and his characteristics, he'll just whiz past the entire world. He doesn't enjoy or take in the sights and the sounds of the world like Mario would, or other characters that
definitely.
Platforming would suits them. Finding stars, jumping on platform to platform, get higher stuff. That's what they do. So that element of it for Sonic, anyway, because he's a speed demon, doesn't work.
Yeah, he hasn't got time to appreciate his levels.
No.
And it's a waste of level for you as well, the player. It's like all that stuff they're building, just whizzing past it. But I guess that's a bit like racing games as well. So, there's good and bad sides to them.
But with racing games, you have different maps, don't you? Racing maps. But then the actual outside world of it, you can have any building you like, and you whiz past that building. Then you get to lap number 2, you see the same building again. Lap number 3. So you can still see the world, but with Sonic, it's one and done.
That's if you have lap races.
Yeah, okay. If you don't have the lap races, you don't see it. But in Sonic, it is just one and done. You literally just run to pass your screen.
Or even if you get to replay it a lot, if they just had all the levels separated properly, so you were just trying to replay it and get faster scores and stuff, then maybe you'd get to see the world a bit more each time. And if that was the challenge, then maybe, I don't know how much they actually do that in games because I haven't played them all. But yeah. Okay, so you've had a PS2, I think. You haven't had a PS2? You started at PlayStation 3?
PS3.
PlayStation 1?
No.
No, okay. So there were a couple of PS2 games, Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog, in 2004, 2005. I've skipped a whole load though, so we're not doing a thorough history. PlayStation 3, there was Sonic the Hedgehog, and there was Unleashed. Did you play either of those?
No, it wasn't Mario, so I wasn't interested.
2006, 2008. I think they're pretty regarded as pretty poor games anyway, so that things were going downhill by then. But there was a Sonic game released on 2007 for the Wii. Okay, so actually there were a few games for the Wii, but there's one that you've already told me about at the beginning of the podcast. So 2007 release for Wii was Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Yes, that was my fave.
Yeah.
The only reason why I played this is because someone had a Wii and went round, and it was so Mario could beat Sonic. So what we did the races, and this is where you had the 2 controller system, and you have to run on the spot up and down. Well, you don't run on the spot; you move your arms up and down. But we had 4 people, and they're all running on the spot, and we always gave the slowest person Sonic. So every character could beat Sonic.
That doesn't make sense. Sonic's faster.
He's rubbish. Anyway, so it was such a good game though, because it had the varying Olympic games in there. You had various other things as well, but you got to pick some of the Mario characters roster, and you could pick some of the Sonic roster as well. So it was a good mashup of the 2 games. There was like I think it's 100-meter dash as they call it, and then maybe like a relay as well. So the running ones were the ones we played. It's wicked. It's one of the best ideas to get 2 of the most iconic characters coming to a day. But it was I don't know how often he would have played it afterwards, because we played it twice when I went over, but I don't know if it's something you sit on your own and play. It's one where you have the family and friends around and you can play. It's brilliant that way.
It's the thing with the Olympic games, they kind of go out of date or get boring after a while. There's only so much Olympics gaming that you want. But yeah, Mario and Sonic is a great pairing, definitely. Like, they're iconic rivals. Nintendo versus Sega. It's amazing. Yes. I'm gonna have to get that game. I've got a Wii still.
Yeah, there's really no contest. I mean, Nintendo wins hands down. The Sega.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask you eventually, even though I said I wasn't. Sonic or Mario.
Mario.
But clearly Mario has already won in your games.
He's won. It wasn't rigged.
Why? So you already admitted it. The only reason Mario is because you won, because you rigged the game.
No, because
that's Mario, Sonic versus Mario, and the rigged game. Mario won.
A little plumber from Italy beats a hedgehog.
Yeah. How did you keep up with him? Come on. He's like a magical speeding hedgehog from another galaxy. And a little plumber with a mustachio.
Oh, it's good because it's one of the very first kind of games where I don't know if this happens a lot, but it was the very first kind of crossover game that I became aware of, with these 2 iconic characters from completely different kind of. It's a bit like if Xbox's Gears of War, which is their exclusive, was able to have that character or that team in an PlayStation exclusive game as well, and you could somehow combine the 2, which these things don't happen. Yeah, and well, if there was a good PlayStation game that you could do that too, I don't know, or maybe.
I know what you mean.
So
I've got Halo as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Mario. The Smash Bros is cool because they've got the whole Mario suite, and I think Sonic. You can maybe get Sonic on there now as well, but I think at that point I'd never seen 2 iconic characters in video games developed by different companies who used to just exclusively release them on their own consoles to come together, which is amazing, I think.
Yeah, I think that too. It's really good. Yeah. So we had a few more games. It had Secret Sonic Hedgehog and the Secret Rings.
Okay.
And it had the Black Knight. They're both sort of slow-paced, but actually, I think they're okay. Kind of slow-paced adventure games where there's actually more to do than just run. And not too bad. And also they had colours, which I think is I mean, it's supposed to be a 3D game, but I think it has sort of a mixture of 2D and 3D, which works quite well. Again, it's one I haven't played, but it got good reception, colours. So that's the start of a return to form, which is good for the series. That was 2010. Then you've got the Sonic the Hedgehog 4. So there's a proper episodes 1 and episodes 2. Have you seen or heard of these ones or know anything about them?
No.
So I mean, they sound like official sequels, but they didn't do so well. They were kind of 2D affairs, but sort of rendered 2D, 3D. They didn't really do Sonic very well, and they didn't really do the whole Sonic going fast thing very well either. So they were PSN games, Xbox Live games, Wii and Windows, all that stuff as well. But yeah, they were let down really. So it's really been a mixed review. I mean, to be fair, I'm saying they didn't do well, but all the games that I've said have done well are games that reviewed positively. They reviewed well. All the games that I'm saying didn't do well got mixed reviews, not negative reviews. So they're still holding their own. They're just not that great. They're just sort of in the middle somewhere. Love them or hate them, or just fairly average. So they're not really terrible games. That's the case. But I have to say, one that came up in 2011 was Sonic Generations, and I think that was a really good game because it captured nostalgia. Do you know anything about Sonic Generations?
No.
Have you even heard of it?
No. Is it like Sonic and his dad and his granddad?
Kind of. I mean, it's still Sonic, both versions of Sonic. So there's an old version of Sonic who does more sort of 2D level gameplay, who's called like Classic Sonic. And for some reason, they're both existing in the same universe for a bit. And there's like a new Sonic who's like the 3D rendered looking sort of Sonic. And he has more of the sort of 3D based levels. And it's quite a good mashup of like it brings back old level styles from the first 2D games, which you've already chosen as the better ones.
Yes.
And it also brings back elements from the 3D games, the Adventures sort of era, which were two of the highest points for Sonic before this point. I don't think it's not that long a game, but it's definitely worth a go. Released for PS3, 360, 3DS, and Windows. So if you have the PS3 still, you can still play it.
Might be on PlayStation now.
Yeah, it might well be on PlayStation now. Yeah. They haven't put it onto PS4 yet though, unfortunately. Would you give that game a go?
No.
If you could play it? No.
No.
Not Mario.
He's got a Mario in there.
Mario.
If there's a way you could have, like Tails used to tag along with Sonic on an adventure. If you could have Mario and Sonic somehow team together,
that'd be good. Yeah.
Then I'd be down for that.
Someone should do a mod of that at least for all the games. Then you'd be playing them all. Just where basically you can play as Sonic, but Mario follows you along. And he's got that raccoon power up, so he can fly. Like Tails.
He can fly exactly.
Do exactly the same thing as Tails.
Exactly the same. It'd be brilliant. I'd love it. I would play that. If someone could put Mario in an old level of Sonic, in a way, obviously he could still run around. Then I might play.
And the Sonic one could also be Mario, but with a speed power up. Is there a speed power up in Mario?
I don't think there is. There's a flower one, but that only gives you firepower.
Isn't there the star? Isn't that faster? I don't know if that's faster.
In the car, in the game, in the racing game, it does, but not in the rest of it. Star kind of gives you invincibility.
I know it gives you invincibility, but I thought it gave you a little speed boost as well. Maybe only a small one.
Maybe a small one, but it won't be Sonic level.
Well, we can pretend it is. If we can pretend Tails is as fast as Sonic,
we're not pretending. The game
power up.
The game developers pretended that he is.
Okay, I think if you go to the animated series, you definitely see that Tails is slower. I mean, there's been a few different animated series. There's been Sonic the Hedgehog, there's been Underground, there's been Sonic X, and there's been Sonic Boom most recently.
Any of them worth watching? If you could recommend one of those cartoon series that I should watch.
I think Sonic X was quite good. Or was it Underground? I can't remember. It's been a long time. I've got Sonic the Hedgehog collection on DVD, the first one. But I have to say they're not that good. I mean, I loved them at the time because they had the characters and stuff, but they're just kind of really bad comedy, like really not funny most of the time. They're proper like the very first ones anyway were proper like proper bad, straight on a rushed version just to get that sort of character out there, make some money out of it. I don't know, it's being made for kids, so don't put too much effort into making it actually good. That sort of feeling.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, because they did that with. If you watch I think you watched one episode, the Toys That Made Us. They used to give the toy manufacturers used to give the company a couple of the characters, and then they would say, "Look, we're going to bring out this toy line. Go make a cartoon of it." And then this animation studio would go away and make a cheap, so many episodes cartoons, because then that cartoon's going to generate sales for the product line. And I think that's what you're talking about there. It's just a case of let's get it out there as soon as possible, regardless of quality.
Yeah.
When Sonic was around for ages, they could have just waited. They could have just done it properly, because Sonic would sell anyway.
I think the problem with it, I mean, I do think some of them are good. I think maybe Underground or X are a bit better. But the problem is, like you say, if you've got a toy and you want to get sold, you just give them what the toys look like and the names, and they can make up a good story around those toys. But like with Sonic the Hedgehog, they've already got some story with the games.
Yeah.
So that means they're sort of bound by the story of the games a bit, but they can't go too far out of the bounds, or they're non-canon, out of canon.
Oh yeah.
They add too much, and which they invariably do. They go off in their own direction, so it doesn't really work very well. But to sort of keeping it in the same line as all the other things, because Sonic's just got so many games now as well. So they're not. I don't think any of them can be canon really anymore. So much goes on. Anyway, we had a couple more games after that. We had Lost World in 2013 for 3DS. Yes, that's the one.
Horses. Sonic and Dinosaurs.
Sonic and Dinosaurs, exactly.
The Lost World, yeah.
That could be the plot. I don't know. I haven't played it. These games didn't do very well again. But Sonic Mania, you must have heard of, because you've got a PS4, and that's a decent game-ish.
No.
You not heard of it? Come on, you got it free on PSN.
I played it. It felt like it was the old Sonic, the original Sega. Yeah, it's a 2D one. Yeah, I played that one. Yeah.
You enjoy it then?
Yeah, I like that. I like the 2D Sonic.
Good.
I enjoyed old school Sonic. Yeah, but I could only play so many levels of it, because it whizzes by too quickly, and then you get stuck on a certain bit. And I keep, if you don't have enough rings, I can't proceed without collecting so many rings and having that extra level of jelly to protect me from being hit.
Yeah, I had the same problem. It wasn't like when I was a kid where if I got stuck at a level, I'd just try and try and try. It was just like, I'm stuck on a boss. I can't be bothered. If you're going to suddenly make a spike of difficulty, then I'm losing interest. Like, it needs to be a slope of difficulty.
See, the problem is I give certain games a pass. Like I was playing, I think I've mentioned this before, Broforce, and it's one hit and you're dead kind of game. But you can collect another character, so you can have one life in that level. If you don't find a character, you get no lives in that level. So one hit and you're dead. If you find a character, you now got 2 lives, like that. So, but it is always one hit and you're dead. Yeah. But you play the boss levels, or you play certain levels, and they are really hard. but I have spent ages trying to complete levels purely to get to the next stage. And I feel satisfied that I've done so. But with Sonic, I don't give him a pass. I don't know why. Yeah. I get stuck and I put him away.
To be fair, I'm a Sonic fan, and I didn't give it a pass either. So
I think because as a younger gamer, I think I did. As I've got to a certain age, I'm just like, I have the time because I played Bloodborne. Right? I completed that, right? So I do have the time and I do have the patience to sit with the game for long enough. But Sonic, I don't have the patience for Sonic.
I mean, it's where you put your attention, isn't it? Like, if you're interested enough to play a game, then you'll play it.
Yes, regardless.
If you're not, you won't. And there's just so many games to play now. Like back in the day, I got my first Mega Drive, and it came with Sonic 2. That was the game I was playing. Like, I wasn't looking around at hundreds of games thinking, what should I play? Yeah. I was looking at, I've got a 3 games cartridge, I think, with Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and Revenge of Shinobi on. And then I've got Sonic 2. So those are the games I'm playing. Like, there's no question. And they were all at, like, the top of their technology at the time as well. So they're amazing to play. Like, that you want to play them just for the technology of it and see what comes next. But when you're going back, you're not going to be impressed with the technology, then you're not necessarily going to be impressed with what you're seeing and wanting to carry on, maybe as well. And we just got too much.
It's also difficult to play certain games now because we've become so easy. Games are so much easier to play. The movement is so much better now. Because there's a game which we'll talk about a bit later, but I played BioShock, the first one. And it does feel like an older game. Like when you got the shooting mechanics in that, it doesn't feel like a new game, even though it's been remastered and it's available on the PS4. It does feel a bit dated, but it's still a good game. But it's like, do you want to stick with that for a long time? And sometimes you don't, and then just like I'd give up. But with BioShock, I've stuck with so far.
Yeah,
so I'm playing them 1, 2, 3.
Like having lives again and having to start right from the beginning is hard as well.
Yeah.
And you go back and you've lost a life on a boss, and you're like, I'm gonna have to try again. You can't just try again like you could on a modern game, because you after about 3, 4, 5 goes, depending on how many lives you've saved up and continues, you're gonna have to start the game right from scratch again. You're like, do I really want to start the game from the beginning?
Exactly. I think. And that's why you didn't like Bloodborne, because every time you die, you lose everything, and then you have to start all again from scratch.
I didn't mind Bloodborne. It's just I just couldn't get past one of the bosses. Like, for some reason, I kept on ducking, diving. I know the thing I should have done, which I know there's access to, is you can get someone to come into your game and help you.
Yes, I kept saying you should just rang the bell. I would have come and helped you.
But I have too much pride. I couldn't do that. I just wanted to duck and dive and finish it, but I couldn't.
And also, the boss you died against is, I feel like, one of the easier bosses.
It is. But if you haven't got the right knack to diving, then he's just going to keep chasing you around and killing you. Such a shame as well. I always expected me to be more of a hardcore gamer than yourself, but then you played Dragon Ball. No, what's it called? The Bloodborne.
Yeah, Bloodborne.
And Dark Souls, and you're clearly the better gamer.
Well, I stuck with, because I don't. When I bought Bloodborne, a lot of people, even the guy, I remember buying it from the shop. It's one of those things you do once in a while, go to a shop and buy it. And he also said, "Oh, this is a really tough game." But then he offered me he offered me the Game of the Year edition. And I looked at it and said, "No, I don't need the other DLC. I don't think I'll get through this." But then I went home, and it took me ages to get the hang of it all. But once I got to a certain point, I was like, "Oh, I should have bought Game of the Year edition now. Should have got the DLC." But I thought I thought I'll fail early on and not play it anymore. But I stuck with. I feel like it's a great game.
Yeah, because you stuck with it clearly as well. So you wanted to stick with it as well.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
What made you want to stick with it, do you think?
I found it quite because the actual combat system is really good. It's very fluid. So there's no blocking involved. So you got to hit, you got to move out the way, you got to roll forward, roll back, but there's no blocks, so you can't just stand there and like in normal fighting games or other games, you have a shield or something, and you just duck out the way. You had none of that, and that's what kind of really excited. And it's just that it's so quick paced. Like you run around the corner, and there could be something there, or you fight something. You don't always have to fight something. That was the good thing. You could run away from things. Yeah. As long as you had enough stamina, you could just sprint past a lot of the game and just walk straight into a boss battle.
Yeah, that's how you sort of get straight to the bosses. And sometimes,
and as soon as you open up the shortcuts, you realize it's one. It's almost like it's one massive map. Because you can walk from one end to the other end, and I loved all of that. Yeah, and it looks beautiful on the PS4. It's a stunning game as well.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic can't block.
That's a good point. Yeah, nor can Mario. That's what.
You've got to go back to Sonic now and think of it as a Dark Souls.
No, I can't, because you collect rings. I guess they're like echoes, or they're Bloodborne. Okay. Yeah,
one of the principles of the Sonic games, especially the 2D games, is that the higher routes that you take, the higher up you get, are the faster routes.
Huh?
And so if you miss the higher routes, or maybe you miss a jump, or you just don't even see them, and you don't go that way, and you end up in the lower routes. Those are the ones that sort of slow you down. So that's something that's in the game's favour. Is that although you're not exploring the game looking for certain things, there's replay value in you're trying to better your speed, almost like a speed run game, by finding these different areas and different routes. Would exploring to find those different routes give you more interest in Sonic?
No, I watched someone speedrun Bloodborne for about 30 minutes or 35 minutes. He completed the whole game. That does not. I mean, it's incredible. What he did was amazing, but I couldn't do that because I want to walk around the world. I want to enjoy. I want to take it in. I spent 40 £40 on this game. I don't want to speed run through it. So while it is incredible and it is impressive that he did it so quickly, he killed all the main bosses that you had to kill and avoided the optional ones, and he ran through areas like lightning speed, like I've never seen done before. But I couldn't do it.
How about the cheats? Have you ever used any of the cheat codes on the Sonic games?
No,
because you've hardly played them anyway. But
exactly, I haven't played them enough. No.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you can complete the game in, I'd say, just over a minute if you use all the cheat codes.
But what's the point?
It's fun. It's funny. And great codes. And I still remember the cheat codes even now. Every single number of them.
That ruins the game now. That.
It's brilliant, though. It's brilliant. Yeah. So there's three main codes. Okay, there's I'll tell you the codes just because I memorised them. Okay, there's 19, 65, 09, 17, which you put into the sound. You put all these codes into the sound checker, sound test.
Yeah.
And that gives you a level select, so you can go to any of the levels in Sonic 2 that you want to, including straight to the last level, which is just bosses, just two bosses, nothing else to do, just kill two bosses. The second one is 01, 09, 09, 02, 01, 01, 02, 04, which is like a debug mode. It lets you, if you press B, you turn into a ring, but it's like an object placer, and you can flick through every single object that come up in the game in that level, and you can place them anywhere you like. So you can then have a little playground. You can set up your own little level, although it'd only be like a couple of screens wide, and then it would disappear, like if you move too far away from it. But that was quite fun. You could set up enemies and set up springs and loop the loops and things, or just place down a load of rings, so you've got loads of rings at your disposal.
Oh, so yeah. So it doesn't matter where you run into, what you do, you always have
if you place. Also, if you get hit by by a boss or something, you could just turn into a ring before you got hit, or turn into a ring, give yourself some more rings, and reappear again. We'd have to reappear to collect them anyway. Yeah. And the third cheat was 04, 01, 02, 06, which basically let you become supersonic, which is if you collected all the Chaos Emeralds in the game, all 7 of them, by completing those 3D ring levels, the 3D levels you talked about. After that point, if you collect over 50 rings and you jump a Sonic, you turn into Supersonic. And Supersonic is the yellow instead of blue. Okay. He moves amazing speeds, and he has invincibility. So he's like unstoppable, pretty much, apart from being crushed or dropping down into an abyss. Those are the only things that can kill you.
But you could work your way to get that one instead of cheating.
Yes, you could. Yeah.
Okay. See, but I don't mind you working your way through, but once you get invincibility, what's the point of the game? Because
you don't have to work your way through, because you put the 3 cheats in, you can go straight to the last level, turn into a ring, give yourself 50 rings or so, come back as Sonic, jump in the air, turn into Supersonic, and you can kill the 2 bosses within a minute.
Within a minute, yes.
Just by standing next to them. Well, Metal Sonic, you have to just basically stand in front of him and it kills him. And then Robotnik, the final boss, in his big robot, you have to jump and kill him without getting crushed. But that's it.
Sounds boring now.
And you finished the whole game. It's brilliant.
Yeah, but there's no satisfaction in finishing the game in that manner, is there?
Obviously, you don't have to cheat, though, do you? You wouldn't cheat. You just said you wouldn't.
Exactly.
So satisfaction.
I play a game to finish the game, or as far as I can go in the game. But I don't play the game because someone else has put some cheats in there, and I want to access those cheats. I
already completed the game though, like the slow way. Yeah, I've already finished it plenty of times, so I just wanted to go back and have fun sometimes. I remember borrowing a Game Genie. Did you have a Game Genie?
No, I
or
had one.
Action replay cartridges was another thing. But you know what they are? You want to explain it?
They had a whole bunch of cheats, and you that was the bottom cartridge. So you put that in at the bottom, and then you put your game on top, and it unlocks certain. If there were cheats, and there's a set number of cheats and stuff, so you'd have, but it wouldn't be for every game. It'd be for whatever ones that they had it on, and then you put your console on. You put your main cartridge on top of it, right? And then it would unlock whatever it is.
Yeah,
that was cheatable.
It's kind of 2 brands. I think there is one kind that maybe more like the Action Replay that was game specific. But the codes you put into the Game Genie and I think the Action Replay were actually changing code, or changing the way the code works within the games. So basically, you had cheats for every game as long as you found out what they were.
Okay.
So they weren't like picked specifically and put onto the games. But they basically meant you could mess around with the code and sort of get to play some. So I remember using the Game Genie on Sonic 2. They had all sorts of things, but there's one where you could there was like a jump high cheat or code. Like it's basically like a hack. And you just jump so high you could do the whole level in 2 jumps. It was amazing.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You jumped so high that you just went off the top of the screen, so you couldn't see yourself. You just see the level moving along because you know you're moving, and then you'd come down eventually. You'd just be jumping so high. That was amazing. But I didn't own it myself, so I didn't need to do it too much. But you have some fun with these games.
If you think that's fun, sure. I mean,
if you've completed it already.
Oh yeah, if you've actually gone through the satisfaction of completing it, then yeah. Otherwise, it's kind of ruins the fun.
Yeah,
but then if a developer actually puts a backdoor in, then it's not your fault. Because then the developer opened it up to be cheated.
Okay, what, like the official cheats?
Yeah, exactly. So if a developer puts it in, then it's fine because then that's the developer doing it. But if you break it yourself, then no.
One thing I loved about beating the game with Supersonic though, which I couldn't do without cheat, because I could never collect all the emeralds. I admit that much. Not in Sonic 2 anyway. The thing I love about it is that Tails flies a plane. If you don't know that in the games as well. That's how he gets you up to the death egg and stuff like that. And at the end, when you finally blow up the death egg, Tails comes in his plane to catch you and take you off. But if you were Sonic 2, you obviously and then at the end, at the end the plane flies round and Sonic has a jump off at the screen, and that's the final shot.
Yeah.
Of him jumping at the screen. But then if you had Sonic, if you were playing Super Sonic, he would fall down, but then rather than Tails catching him, he would just fly in front of the plane because he can fly, which was amazing. I don't know, he couldn't fly when you were playing him, but for some reason he can fly now. Anyway,
chooses when you can, yeah.
And that's amazing. And then when the flying around for the final screenshot, he obviously comes out and he's still flying. It just flies up at the screen for you. That was fun stuff.
I mean, if you say
it. But I give you, Mario had more sort of puzzle elements when it comes to traversing the levels between the levels to actually find your way to the end. On that first game, Super Mario Bros., I mean, there are so many level skips that you really had to do to get to not have to do all the hard levels.
Yeah, if you knew the right pipes, you could jump out, and also if you could get on the right platform, you could skip levels.
Did you ever complete the first game?
No, I never did. There was a level where the screen would keep moving, and you have to do certain jumps in a certain way. I used to always get stuck on that one.
Was that a skippable one though? Did you find out?
I don't know. I gave up after.
I think you could skip
the one on the Game Boy was one of the first ones I ever completed, which is the one where you have to collect the 6 gold, big gold coins. That was a really good one on the Game Boy. That was my favorite. Because that also had the ability where you can save your progress as well. So once the console closed, for some reason there was ability in that game somewhere that it'd save your progress. It was wicked.
Well, I completed Sonic 1 and 2, so it wins. Yes.
But I can run faster than Sonic.
You can run faster than Sonic? How?
I beat him in the Olympics.
Oh, you just got the slow guy. That wasn't Sonic, that's the slow guy. Who did you pick as the slow guy? Has he got a name?
It's whoever. So you'd have the first run, and you'd see how quick people are, and then you could just judge by who's the slowest at kind of just moving the arms left and right, and not realizing that you don't have to run on the spot as much.
You don't have to choke,
And that's how you decide. That's how you decide who the slowest person is. It's really the worst gamer. That's what you're looking for.
Cheats. Yeah. Okay. So you know a bit of what rings do now, and a little bit of what Chaos Emeralds do, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess. So rings or Chaos Emeralds versus.
Oh, I think the emeralds, because then that gives you a bigger payoff at the end.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but would you ever get to them if you had no rings?
No.
One hit kill, one hit dead.
I would never get that far in the game.
Yes, you get the shield.
Yeah.
Okay. There were power-ups in the games: speed boots, shields, and invincibility. Do you know about these?
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah, when you smash a TV.
Yeah, that's it.
Every time you smash a TV, sometimes something could come out, and it's quite randomized, wasn't it? It wasn't a set thing. Each time you hit that TV, you'd always get the same thing.
It depends. I think in single player mode they were the right thing. They were correct. In multiplayer, it was randomized.
Okay. So yeah.
The question is speed boots versus invincibility.
Well, invincibility was just very short-lived, though. But
so was speed boots.
But because I'm so bad at the game, I choose invincibility.
Yeah. I mean, I would pick invincibility. Sonic is already about speed. You don't really need to go fast. No. And I think if you're going too fast, then you can run into an enemy and lose all your rings. But
if you're invincible, just run straight through.
Run straight through. You're going to end up with more speed just by having invincibility. Loops versus corkscrews.
Loops.
Yeah,
that's the traditional Sonic, iconic kind of level creator thing that I always see. Do loops. Yeah,
I love it. I suppose corkscrews turned up more in Sonic 2, and you just had to run through them. So yeah, I suppose loops would win. Yeah, I agree with that.
Also, loops is good because if you don't have enough momentum, you fall down them, which is quite cool. So nice. So you had to run further back. So sometimes with corkscrew, I don't know if that was the same, but definitely for the loops, they definitely had that.
Yeah, corkscrews was you had to be running at a certain speed to run through them. If you went too slow, you'd drop through them and end up at a lower level of the game.
So they have a similar mechanic, yeah. Okay.
But then you couldn't just start again unless you went all the way back round. So you'd just be going slower now. You've missed part of the higher ground.
Yeah, I think I prefer the other ones. The loops.
Okay, so we've gone through most of the main series. I've skipped a load because a lot of them were there were handheld games and some more Master System games. I think I went through all the Master System games really. But the one that I kept outside was racing. He did have some good racing games, I think, but some not so good ones as well, or some average ones. There was Sonic R on the Saturn, was apparently a decent one. In 1997.
Okay. Yeah.
Nope. I've not played it, but I have played the other ones which are good, which have been Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing and Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed.
I played one on the iOS.
Okay.
So I think it's that one, the Sonic All-Star on the iOS. It's like Mario Kart but with Sonic characters, but not as good.
It's basically a kart game. I mean, people have argued it actually being better in some ways.
No, so. I don't remember that argument ever taking place. Everyone said it's like
I mean, every time you have a kart game, people call it a rip-off of Mario Kart.
Exactly.
But the thing is, kart games existed before Mario Kart, so...
I'm aware of none. It's Mario Kart was the pioneer of kart games, as far as I'm, and also the 2D platformer as well. So Mario did everything first.
Mario did everything, really. Yeah.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else stole these ideas.
Well, I thought they haven't really done Transformed, or have they done that now? The mechanic where you transform between boats, plane, or your car.
No.
That was like a gimmick in the second one, which has disappeared now in Team Sonic Racing, which is a shame because Team Sonic Racing on PlayStation 4 was only released recently. It's pretty much the same sort of game, but it's getting average reviews compared to the other two. So maybe they should have kept the boats and the planes.
Yeah, maybe. I think
you've not played Transform.
I haven't played any of them except the one on the iOS. The thing with the Mario Kart, obviously you have the easy levels and then you have the more difficult. Then you have Rainbow, which people either know the sheet where you can jump off a certain part of the track, jump onto the other. But it's kart racing. I guess the idea of having boats and stuff it's something different. So I might play that if it had different things to drive.
It is different. I mean. Basically, your boat's got a bit of lag, like the lag in turning. You've got slightly different controls, and the plane obviously has full vertical movement. It can be quite hard to orientate.
Yeah,
can be an extra challenge, and also the fact is it means that the actual rate because you're doing lap races. Every time you're going around the actual layout of the course is changing slightly, so there could be bits of the road collapsing that you then have to sort of maneuver around, or there might be an entire bit knocked out, which is why now you end up transforming into a boat for that section and going around a different way.
Oh, clever! Yeah.
So you get a bit of variety, and it's really quite good mechanic, I think. But you haven't played it, so my next versus is boats versus planes.
Boats.
Okay. Why boats?
Because whenever you do games where you got even GTA, when you do flight stuff the very first time, it's always difficult to maneuver the airplane the very first few times you try it. So if you're playing a racing game and you've got people around and you're all on the airplane, there's someone who flies airplanes on video games a lot. He or she's going to win, and you're all playing for second. At least on a boat, it feels like it's a level playing field.
Yeah, I think that the planes in Sonic Racing Transformed are quite simple to use, so they're not too hard. But at the same time, even I then find them tricky, even though I'm a seasoned flyer in like GTA games and other games. So like, it can still be a bit tricky. So yeah, I can see your point there. Boating's a bit easier.
Exactly, and then you can do fishing off the boat as well, which we know you love.
The cat.
Yes,
they missed out on an opportunity there. And the great thing about the Sega All-Star Racing and All-Star Racing Transformed games are that they're Sega icons as well in there. So they've got Alex Kidd, who else? Jet Set Radio, all these other racing icons in there. They've got a whole ton of games. And Golden Axe, you love Golden Axe. Yes. I mean, was there a Golden Axe level in the game you played?
No.
Wow, there you go. There's a Golden Axe themed level in Racing Transformed as well. I mean, it's got the music basically, and it's kind of like it's got a lava sort of theme and some dragony sort of theme, but I really enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it too if you love Golden Axe.
I love Golden Axe, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can play one version of it in the demo still on the PS3 if you still had your PS3.
It's collecting dust somewhere in the house, so I never took it out. I've got a really old TV which has 2 HDMI cables.
Yeah.
So I've got PS4 plugged into it and the Sky. A shout out to Sky, by the way, for giving me broadband.
You can unplug those HDMI slots.
Nope. No, you can't.
Remove them. I'll tell you what my setup is. I've got one TV. I think it's got 3 HDMI sockets in the back or the sides, and I've got one socket plugged into it only, and I just swap it between the PS3 and PS4, and they're both sat in front of the TV, and it's that easy to swap over. You just plug it out the back and put it back in the back of the other.
It's too much work.
I can play PS3 anytime I want, and I do. It's that easy.
It's not.
And you know what? If your PS Plus ran out, you're like, I really want to play some online games, but my PS Plus has run out. You just swap it over to PS3. You can play for free.
If that day happened that I had to play online gaming that badly, that I have to jump onto a PS3.
Yeah, you'll be playing Dark Souls and you'll be like, I need help.
I do, yeah. Get the help. That's true. No, that's the only reason why I need my online subscription. If I want to play Souls games.
Yeah, see, the only reason you got through them is because you cheated.
It's not cheating, because a lot of the time you can ring your bell and you can help other people at the same boss. So there's a couple of bosses that I was really good at killing. So what I'd do is I'd ring my bell at that area, and if somebody else needs help, they would obviously call for me. But one of the biggest things about it was you could put messages around, and if they're helpful messages, people would vote on them. Yeah. And so when you're fighting and you don't even realize this, if somebody votes up your message, your health bar goes all the way back up.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
So the community is interacting with everyone. So it's not just
I like that idea of that. It's not just interaction without interacting, like physically all the time.
So that way you want to be helpful for people. You want to help people out. You want to help them in their levels, as well as sometimes calling help in your own level. There's nothing wrong in asking for help. This is a plea for you. When you're playing your games by yourself, there's nothing wrong in asking for help.
The thing is, I like co-op, so I should ask for help. But there you go.
Exactly. We used to play Borderlands a lot together.
Yeah, I'd still do that. I'm still waiting to get Borderlands 3 one day. Maybe do some co-op on that.
Yes.
So So yeah, that's pretty much all of the versus. I would like to do some more versus this boss versus that boss, but you don't know any of the bosses.
No.
The levels.
No.
Do you know any of the levels?
Robotnik, you said. He's a boss.
He's a boss, yeah. Okay, so there's the level in the first, the final boss in the first game versus the final boss in the second game.
This is like, when I spoke about music, and you were like, I don't know this, I don't know this. This is what this feels like. But at least I've at least played some Sonic.
Yeah. I've not. Plus, I explained it all to you, so you could do the verses.
In terms of the bosses, yes, let's do it. So I know Robotnik. He's the main egg-shaped Jim Carrey lookalike.
So Robotnik, the final boss in the first level, because you wouldn't have reached the final bosses, right?
No.
Okay, so the final boss in the first level, all he does is traps you in a tiny little space using some beam technology, like some shields, and he's in a little pod at the top of the screen, or top of the room, and he's just moving along, and he opens up, sending down a beam occasionally, which can kill you, and moves along with the beam. Meanwhile, there's 3 platforms that are just moving around that can help you get some height, ready to hit him when he's got that one opportune moment that you can hit him. Actually, you know what? This is actually a different boss, but I'm going to carry on with it. Okay. This is Robotnik boss though, so stick with me for this versus. This is actually the second to last boss on the second game. Okay, but it's actually quite similar to the first boss, so we'll do this versus first. But the thing is, those 3 platforms that are moving around have got spikes on the bottom, which makes them difficult to jump on.
Okay, so you have to jump on top of them, but the bottoms have the spike.
Yeah.
Okay, plus the spikes are facing downwards.
Exactly. And he keeps letting out his beam as well, which then moves along and can kill you. You could end up trapped in the wrong side. Okay. There's I guess a similarity to the final boss in the first game, which I remember now is different. In this one, you're stuck in a room again. He's got 4 pistons that go alternately. One goes from the ceiling and crushes on the ground. Then the next one goes out of the ground, crushes to the ceiling, and then the other 2 vice versa. Alternately. But after a little while he'll operate 2 of them at once, but he'll be inside one of them. So you have to jump out of the way of the 2 that you see moving, but you also have to try and be in a position to then attack him and kill him, or get a hit on him in the one that he's in, not knowing until he's come out and seeing who it is. That boss versus that boss. Piston boss versus beam boss.
Beam boss.
Beam boss. Okay. Why?
It's just because I had to pick one.
Well, yeah, it's kind of more complex, even though it's not even like the final level. I think the first one is quite simple. The first game was a simpler boss. Okay, so let's compare to the one you've just chosen. You remember which one you've chosen with the beam and the platforms with the spikes on them.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Compared to the final boss in Sonic 2, which is where he's in his big robot. He's in a massive robot that the head is slightly off the screen. I think he's so big. He's got the robot has got spikes for fingers. So when you try and jump up to hit him in his stomach, which is basically the only place you can really hit him, if those spikes come out, then you're dead, because you don't get any rings in this level either, I don't think, unless you're using cheats.
Oh, so it's one hit and that's it, the whole level.
One hit kills. So and so that's that. Plus he's walking along and you can get crushed under his feet. And he's stomping along. Then he will fly up into the air and use a homing signal to try and land on you and crush you, but you can outrun that one. You have to make sure you do a super spin out of that one, and then when he lands, he will throw his arms out temporarily. They'll come back to him to try and hit you. Plus, you have to fight Metal Sonic with no rings before that as well, who's a metal version of you, but he's got like a set routine, which means he can spin and that'll kill you. He can fire off his spines, that can kill you. He can do a spin jump, that can kill you.
Kill you, yeah.
If he runs into you and you're not
kill you,
he'll kill you. Yeah. So which one wins? Which do you give it?
I mean, he sounds too difficult. That's the problem. And
but it's possible. It's a funny thing.
Yeah, he is, but it's just he's too difficult. Would I play the level that much, that many times, knowing that one hit dead? Plus, I've got to play Metal Sonic beforehand. I might, if I knew that's the final boss, I might spend X amount of time trying to get that far. But if I didn't know that's the final boss, I don't think I'd play that much. You
definitely know it's the final boss.
Oh, as much as I hate to do it, I'd have to complete that game, won't I? Because I'm so close.
Yeah, you're definitely. That's the thing. That's like they set up that challenge at that point. You're right. Like after all that, to get no rings, you're just like, you bastards.
Yes.
But you're there in the Death Egg. You need to do it, and you only need to get. I think you need to get 8 hits on most bosses. So I think you only need to get 8 hits on Metal Sonic, but then you need to get 12 hits on the Robotnik final robot. Can you do it?
No, I couldn't do it. It'd take ages, and then I may have to resort to getting someone else to do it for me. I'd ring my Bloodborne bell, and I'd wait for someone to join my level. and then they could help me with killing.
They should do that with a remake. They should do a proper full remake. All 3 of the original games, or 4 if you count them as separate games. So 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles all combined. You get to play as Knuckles. You get to fly as Tails in all of them, and you get to ring your bell.
Yes, see the Bloodborne bell
and leave little signs. You can bring back the Chow from the weird little creatures from the Adventures games. They can hold the messages up that people leave behind. Be great.
Yeah, because I think these online games, that's what it should be all about. It should be helping other people. So I couldn't play that game. After a while, it just grate on me. He's too good. I couldn't win. So I have to go back with Beam again. Beam wins it for me.
Yeah, I mean that's the level before, so it is quite a tough one as well, actually, because it's a very confined space. And again, if you actually die and you start that boss again, you only have a few rings to sort of survive with. It's tough. Yeah. I'd actually say that the level before is tougher in some ways.
With Metal Sonic?
No, with the bean.
Oh, you think Bean is harder than that? Okay.
The Bean is in some ways tougher, but Metal Sonic isn't as tough once you know his routine. Yeah. You just need to know when to hit him. Once you know his routine, you can actually just hit him in the face when he's just standing still. Just hit him as many times as you can, and maybe do it in maybe three before he's done any more than about 3 spins attacks. So he's not so hard, and you just have to avoid those spiky hands on the main boss.
See, that's those games back then were so unforgiving when you think about it. Like you got one hit, but also when the person stops, you can hit them a couple of times, but then you have to wait for the whole sequence to happen again, and then they stop, and then you do it. Nowadays, when games do the same thing, people are like, oh, they're too hard, and they are intentionally making it so we can't beat the characters or we can't do this. Yeah. But video games were that difficult to start off with.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you think about Sonic, what you mentioned there about the higher ground to lower ground, there's no explanation on the maps and nothing. It's just a case of run, go explore the game. And
exactly, yeah.
And people did it. And now they complain, well, there's no waypoint.
Yeah.
And there's no map.
There's no tutorial. We didn't need tutorials.
Yeah.
People used to just jump into games. Mario and Sonic are both like renowned for how good they are in the sense of just drop you in the game and teach you by having a level that just introduces the different things. It just introduces something that makes you jump, and then you know how to play the game.
Did you ever play Super Meat Ball? Super Meat Boy?
I know very much of it, but I haven't played it, no.
Because that was a PlayStation Network game as well, and we've got some videos of it. We've got some videos of it on our channel.
Yeah, you played it, yeah.
Yeah, and I did finally complete the very first boss battle. Okay. And it's literally the screen is evaporating around you, but before that, they've taught you all the mechanics, like the double jumps, hanging onto the wall, and you need to use all of those things you've learnt in this final. Yeah, it is. But that's the way games were before. You know, we just become so soft. Like if you think back to think back to Sonic, what you're saying there, it's very similar, because that final boss is one hit dead. Even previous bosses, one hit, lose your rings. If you don't catch them all, then you're going to lose your rings again, and then you got to start all over again. So, I think games were a lot harder than you remember.
I do think that I would be frustrated these days if I tried to play Sonic. I can play it now still because I know the whole game and I enjoy it. But if I didn't know anything about the game, I would just be frustrated and probably quit.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with Mario though. So the original. I still can't complete the first Mario game, so I have tried, and I know about the level skipping as well, the right level places to skip. Legitimately, not cheating.
Exactly, yeah.
But those are tough games. But the good thing about this I don't know. The good thing with Sonic is you can build up continues and lives as well, so you can't have infinite retries like some games do now, like some games like to do, which makes them easier. But if you could keep collecting over 100 rings, you would get an extra life, and if you had 100 rings by the time you reached the end of the level, you'd get an extra continue. So eventually you could have up to 9 continues and up to 9 lives. So with 9 lives, you've got a chance to try at least and learn and beat a boss. As long as you don't have that too hard a boss early on in the game when you haven't got those lives, then you're going to be frustrated because I've played Sonic games where that is the case on the must system, which is where like you're like, I need more lives to get this practice in to kill this boss. Yeah. If I lose those 3 lives and that's all they've really given me at this stage, and I have to start the game again, I'm not going to enjoy it because I don't want to play all of the game again just to get my practice in. So, if you're playing Sonic 2 well, and you start to get used to the levels, most of the bosses aren't that hard. Until once you're getting onto that final stage, you could theoretically have 9 lives to start with to try, then 3 lives every time on each continue. So you can, I don't know, that's 8 times 3, 16, 24. You could have about 30 or so lives to practice with to just try and finish that last boss, maybe.
Yeah, so that's not too bad then. Yeah,
it gives you a chance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that's maybe something they forget because like as you say, Super Meat Boy, was it? They've given you the boss as the first boss where you have to combine all of your things that you've learned. But I guess you get to keep retrying.
Yeah, you do, because you just restart the level, but you have to start from scratch. So if you think you've got to the point where you're about halfway through and you died there, then obviously you have to start the whole thing again from scratch. But the map isn't massive, so you stick with. I think that's what I'm trying to get to.
So it's not too hard to get to the boss each time. That's good.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't, if that wasn't the case, I think that boss is too early. I think you would need to have a boss that let you use a few of the things you've learned rather than requiring you to use all of them, just to give you a bit of leeway.
It does. I think he appears after like 20 levels or so. So you do get through quite a substantial amount of the game. Well, say substantial, there might be like 200 levels, so a small chunk of the game before you come up to your first kind of boss level thing, where where the screen is moving constantly. That's what makes it so difficult. Because you got to do perfect jumps at the right time, and you have to cling on to the right thing at the right time.
Are we talking about Mario again?
No, this is, I know.
That moves at the same time as you.
I know. Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy. Yeah. It's brilliant. It's a great game.
There were a lot of games that did that, and it always frustrated me when they did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
moving the screen along, and you can't, if you go too slow and you die or something.
Exactly.
Oh, so annoying.
It is a difficult game, though. I'll give them that. But I think we've played games that are more difficult than that previously.
Yeah. I mean, there's Sonic games I think there's Sonic games where like the level moves upwards, and if you drop down, you die. Not on Sonic 2 or Sonic 1.
Oh, is that the water level?
Maybe Master System game.
Is that the one where the water rises?
Oh yeah, there is a bit in that one, isn't there? There's definitely a bit in that one where the screen moves upwards. Yeah, I think that's on one of the bosses, isn't it? The Labyrinth Zone boss. So you have played quite a bit of it. That's a fair on the first game. You have played some.
I have played some Sonic.
Yeah, it turns out you've played all of them.
I've played them all because all you do is you run left or you run right and you jump.
Run left to get the extra life first.
Oh, of course, yeah. The secrets.
One of those levels. Definitely in one of the games there was a secret like that. Yeah, okay, so that's been pretty much Sonic Versus. Just wanted to talk about Sonic a bit because, we've got this iconic character come out with a movie.
Yeah.
Today, I'm going to go later tonight. Got my dates ready for Valentine's Day.
Nice.
Yeah. Good old Sonic. He's got bigger eyes now, so you're happy.
Oh, I know. He's got nicer teeth as well. He looks more cuddly. I love it now. The first trailer, he did look a bit... I think he worked with... Because the world that they... Don't want to give anything away about the film yet. But
don't tell me anything. I don't want to spoil it. I don't watch...
I think he's aesthetically pleasing now. Definitely. Yeah. I'll say just that much. I won't say anything else.
Yeah. I mean, everyone likes big eyes. I mean, and that's why anime is popular, because they make all the characters with big cute eyes. So
yes,
you've got to give the animal big cute eyes. And yeah, I suppose he does look better, all round better. But I found it kind of funny, his derpy look in the first trailer. I'm always up for something terrible that everyone's hating on.
Yes.
Funny. I find it funny. So yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him. And I was surprised that people like him so much now, because he's still so furry. Like, isn't he supposed to be spiky? Isn't he a hedgehog? He's this little furry animal. Like, I guess in a different world he can be furry.
Yeah.
Different universe. Yeah. So, moving on to segments.
Segments, yeah. Segment time. Yeah. You need to do the theme, don't you?
Oh, I do. Okay. Have well, what is the question now? I have to figure it out so that it is actually a question, because then I can do it. All right. We did it last week. It's
yes.
Have you watched South Park?
It's oh my god, you watched.
Oh my gosh, have you watched South Park?
It's been so long since you've seen an episode.
No. Oh my gosh, have you watched South Park? Yes or no?
No.
Oh, you it.
No, I haven't seen any South Park this week.
So no segment.
No.
Because I asked the question rather than telling you.
Exactly.
I never wanted to tell you without knowing.
It's always, you got to start the segment. We have to start with segment, and then we say yes or no. No, I didn't get a chance to watch any South Park.
South Park this week. Okay, fair enough.
So straight into our reviews. So what you any mini reviews for yourself, or shall I crack on with some?
If you want me to start, I can. What did I watch? I basically watched some old movies. I watched a film called The Harvest, which was 2013, so not too old.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have much to say about it. It's kind of like, it feels like a movie from the 80s or 90s, kind of it's like almost like a Tales from the Crypt sort of a Tales movie, but it's kind of like 2 hours rather than half an hour. it's still okay, but like, yeah, look it up yourself what it's about. Yeah, decide whether you want to watch it or not. Another film I watched, which was an old one, is you can tell me the actor's name. As Good as It Gets. Have you seen that?
Yes, Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely lovely film. I love it.
Such a good film. He's so funny as well. So good.
It's really good and heartwarming and so relatable for me. I just imagine if I did have a relationship, it would be a bit like that. It would be a bit like Jack Nicholson. It's like
it's your role model.
And back in the day when it was made as well, like less, I guess there was less known about autism, and now like it's so recognisable as autism or Asperger's, depending on what wording you want to use, what way you want to look at it. But it's acted so well, and it's just so beautiful, and like how he just says such stupid things, but you know that she knows that she's saying why he's saying these stupid things, but then she can't handle it still, but then she keeps on coming back anyway.
Well, they both won an Oscar for that film as well. So good.
Excellent. It is a brilliant movie. I love it. I only actually saw it for the first time a few years ago. And yeah, amazing film. I love it.
It's got Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt, Greg Kinnear, Cuba Gooding Jr. as well. Yeah, great star cast.
A lot of homophobia.
But not enough to put you off.
But not in a bad movie way. It's obviously homophobia coming from someone that doesn't understand what he's saying.
Yes,
is wrong. So, yeah, it's even more heartwarming for that. So, yeah,
and that dog is so cute.
Oh yeah, the dog. Suppose it's okay. Yeah. What else have I watched? I watched a couple of the early Clint Eastwood movies as well. Also, just classics. Fistful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More. They're just absolute classic movies. Can't really fault them.
Yeah.
The second one, they sort of tried to pair him up with a more experienced actor, which was a bit weird. I don't think they really needed to do that because he's such a good actor already. But yeah, good movies. And while I'm giving the reviews, do I really need to say what they're actually about because they're so old? As good as it gets is a romance between a strange couple of people. I'd say, just slightly different kinds of people.
Yeah,
that's good enough to say. The Harvest is a movie about a boy in a wheelchair, and his parents are you sort of start to get suspicious of his parents straight away, of whether they're treating him right or not, or maybe they're drugging him and not what's going on. His mother is very obviously acted, so you know straight away that she's a bad guy. But the father is sort of more the good guy and innocent, it seems. And then a neighbor girl moves in nearby, and she's going to eventually find out what's really going on, and you get to find out too. For a Fistful of Dollars is it's about it's about a guy. It's a western where Clint Eastwood plays a character, a no-name character that turns up and gets himself in the middle of a sort of gang rivalry, a family rivalry, and plays them off against each other a bit. And for a few dollars more, that he plays a bounty hunter along with someone else, and again they sort of try to play off each other and things, and try to capture a major bounty together, which is a classic sort of story that comes up in the Tarantino westerns especially, and throughout western stuff. Absolutely classic movies as well. And yeah, what have you been watching and doing this week?
I watched something called Birds of Prey, a fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Excellent. Okay.
So this is the new DC film, a spin-off from Suicide Squad. Got Harley Quinn, obviously played by Margot Robbie. Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in it, and so it's like a Obi-Wan Kenobi, good old Ewan McGregor.
Okay.
It's an R-rated action kind of comedy. It feels like Deadpool, but with Margot Robbie. And a lot of people have said this.
They ripped off Deadpool. Okay.
No, they haven't. They haven't ripped off Deadpool. Both films can exist.
No,
both films can exist in their own universes.
No,
but,
I love Deadpool. You can't rip off.
It's because she narrates the film, and there's a lot of flashbacks and cutbacks and stuff.
Yeah,
from the main plot. Yeah,
like Deadpool.
But not so much like to the fourth wall. Like not a lot of the stuff is kind of that way.
Okay.
But she's just explaining narrative. She narrates a lot of it. She's actually really good. She was good in Suicide Squad, even though the film is bad. Yeah. The main difference that I noticed between the films is, like Suicide Squad, David Ayer, Zack Snyder, Josh Whedon did Justice League and Batman v Superman. Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins. This one by Kathleen Yan. Difference between that is when you got a male director, they over-sexualize the characters and they put them in skimpy outfits and they zoom in at certain areas. And then that's like in Justice League, there's just bits where they're just zoomed in on certain parts of Gal Gadot. When Patty Jenkins did the same film and called it Wonder Woman, all the Amazonians were covered and they're wearing these incredible outfits and they were strong warrior princesses, women. And then when Zack Snyder and Josh Whedon do it, their skirts got smaller, and it's those things. So here, you've got a lot of female characters, and it's handled really well. I think.
Excellent. Okay.
Sometimes films can exist and should exist, even if they don't do well. Like Charlie's Angels should exist. More people should have seen it. This is one of those films that should exist, and more people should watch it. It's a good film. It's a good fun romp. It's an R. I don't know if it really needs an R rating because I don't know the Harley Quinn character enough. That doesn't matter if she swears or doesn't swear. Does the violence have to be R rated? It's not like Deadpool or Wolverine. Logan definitely needed R rating, I think, because that story was an incredible story. Yeah. But
was there drug use? That could be why.
There's accidental drug use. It's in the trailer. So there's a bit where she goes into police station to break someone out, and then she's stabbed behind narcotics, drugs basically, and then they're shooting at it, and then obviously it spills out, and then she just inhales it.
Yeah,
she sat on the other side of it. Okay. But yeah, I don't know if it needed that, and I think parents and kids would have been able to. It would have been more accessible to them because it's a character that is well liked. Because
it's a popular character, even from Suicide Squad. How terrible it was, she's still a popular character out of that.
She stood out, and so did Will Smith, because they were two of the main kind of people who stood out from there.
Yeah, as
coming out with kind of any respect, because everyone else was kind of rubbish. But those two came out looking really good. Yeah. And this is kind of like her film, but at the start of the film, she's kind of like, me and Mr. J are no longer together. It's all in the trailer, so I'm not trying to spoil too much yet.
Mr. J, okay.
Her and Mr. J are broken up, so that's obviously the Joker. And so now that she's broken up, she no longer has Joker looking after her, so she's a target, basically.
Right. Okay.
And so anyone who wants to can either persuade her to do whatever they want, their evil biddings, or she used to be shielded from all the bad stuff. Anyone can kind of attack or whatever they want to do. It's just open season on Harley Quinn. But there's a diamond heist there's a diamond that's stolen, and she gets involved in trying to retrieve the diamond for Ewan McGregor's character. And there's a big fight sequence at the end, which is really cool. Otherwise, it's
about the action.
Yeah, that bit's good. It's a good film. It's not a great film. It's not maybe it's one of the better DC movies, because there isn't that many good ones.
Well, maybe it is a great film then, comparatively.
When you compare it into their world, it is. But
because Wonder Woman was a great film. It might have been an okay film, but it's definitely great compared to everything else.
Oh yeah. Compared to some of the other stuff they'd released by then. Patty Jenkins worked an incredible job doing that film. So this one's got a better ending. It is a self-contained kind of film. It's Harley Quinn does all these cool things, and that's all it is. And you're like, okay, that's quite good. It's fun. the other characters are all good and fun. But it almost feels like you needed another either marquee character in the film, because I don't know if Harley Quinn felt to me like enough of a. She even says in the film, which is weird, she goes, Harley Quinn's kind of like a support character. She refers to herself as a support character. So it just felt like something was missing. But it's still a good film. It's worth watching.
That's cool. It's like the story of a support character. They could do one of that Robin there.
Exactly. Black Nightwing would work. But it feels like a Suicide Squad spin-off. It looks like it, but it isn't. And it's actually a better story. The story's fine, but it's actually not a mess. Suicide Squad's a whole mess. It's like this bit's cut in this way, that bit's cut, and then there's loads of expensive songs throughout to try and make you distract from how bad the film is. They don't have that kind of budget here. Exactly. But it's good. All the ladies did a great job. Ewan McGregor's great in it as well. It's well worth a watch. My only thing I'd say is there's a post-credit sequence, which isn't a spoiler for the film. Right at the very end, as the credits are rolling, she says, she says something like, you're still hanging around or something. And then she goes, I'll reveal a secret about Batman. And she says something about Batman. And then the audio cuts and the film ends and the whole screen and the lights come on. So it's just kind of a fun thing to say she's about to do something and say something about the Batman, but nothing happens. Nothing gets revealed.
But you're not going to tell us what it is? Or
no, there is no... She doesn't tell us. It just cuts. That's it. The film ends.
Okay. I think that's a bit of a cheap shot to keep us hooked for the next film.
Yeah, but then the good thing is, in that sense, because they're still making that Batman movie, Matt Reeves is currently shooting it with Robert Pattinson. They don't have anything that they might be able to show in this yet, because that might be 2 years away. So that, obviously, Harley Quinn will fit into that world. I don't know how it's all going to come together, but
at least they won't be bound by what she said, basically.
Exactly, yeah. If she said something, then they would be. This way, they can just kind of like say, oh, yeah, we could have said anything.
Yeah.
And then this film got some of the best rating for a DC movie as well. Like, critics really love it. Fans tend to love it as well. But its opening weekend was like 30... No, so there is expected to make like 55 million, something like that. But it made like 33 million. It made on the low end. And one of the reasons why people think is because in Asia, obviously, in the outbreak of the virus that you mentioned earlier has caused a dampening of the cinemas down there. Okay. But then that doesn't explain the US box office. And I think the problem is, there's many, but...
it's Suicide Squad is the reason.
That's one of the main reasons, right? So it feels like a Suicide Squad film. It feels like a Suicide Squad 1.5.
Yeah.
Without the marquee of a Will Smith, a Joker, or a Batman.
Yeah.
None of the kind of other people, famous people in it. And the hangover from Suicide Squad, because it was so bad, it fell onto this film, which is unfortunate, because you make a good film, people are still remembering the bad film. Yeah. And the other thing is, like, I love the title. The title is such a cool comic book title. But when I was at home and I was like, I'm going to watch the Birds of Prey movie, everyone said, no, we're not coming. Well, what is this? And I'm like, it's the Harley Quinn movie. It's like, if they just call it Harley Quinn and then Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey, something simple, people would be like, that makes sense. I know what film that is.
I didn't even realise it had arrived until like a couple of weeks ago. Because it's called Birds of Prey. That's one of the reasons, I think. And maybe a lack of marketing as well.
I think
confused marketing.
I think there has been, but it's just that titling. So if people knew it was a Harley Quinn solo film with the Birds of Prey, or however you word it.
Just call it Harley Quinn Birds of Prey.
Yeah, it's simple enough. So in America, funny enough, in America, the Warner Brothers have changed all the marketing to now say Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey. So even they've realised that the marketing that they've done so far has not worked.
How could they not realise that Birds of Prey might mean a nature documentary? Just just putting it out there.
Exactly. It's a cool title for like comic book fans and nerds around, but
Yeah.
for the general public, it means nothing. Birds of Prey, and then it says the fantabulous emancipation of a one Harley Quinn. So Harley Quinn appears right at the very end.
That's
well,
not
if you
front
think
loaded.
no, because if you think like Wonder Woman, that's her title, that's the name of the film. You know who it's about, and it did really well. Deadpool, that's what they called it.
You know what they should have called Wonder Woman is what year was it set in? Call it like 1917. There's a film that's out at the moment, isn't it? Actually,
1917. Yes, yes, there is. Yeah, it's the Sam Mendes film.
But 1930, just call it 1930, and then in small letters, the arrival of the woman that now known as
Wonder Woman. So that's one massive problem I think they didn't realize until later on, and then they changed all their marketing. Now it does say Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey, but I think they missed it. Panic.
This is them all over, isn't it? They just don't realize these things until after. Like, they need to do their market research or have some brains behind. They need to pay someone with brains to figure these things out for them beforehand, before they've spent all their billions and released something. Like, do some research.
Exactly. I mean, the person on the street won't understand what that means. And I think you want the people on the streets to, or kind of anyone, just to be able to say, okay, so that's Harley Quinn movie. I remember her from Suicide Squad. She was really good.
Yeah.
And I will watch anything that she's in, basically.
Yeah. It sounds like a solid film as well. So
yeah, it's not a terrible film, and that's the unfortunate thing. It's just not making the money. And yeah, it's still. I'm sure it's not that expensive. It just needs to make 300 million worldwide to break even. So if it does well, of course, there'll be more films in this world, which is good. So there'll be another Birds of Prey. Maybe we might get Gotham City Sirens. So it opens the door for other things as well. So hopefully...
You know what it could be as well? It could be gender conspiracy. So they don't market it properly. They just market it dumb
intentionally.
Because they want the female director to fail a bit. And go, oh look, these shitty movies we made much more money, so we get to make more of them like this.
maybe
probably
that could be it. But yeah,
there's a chance it could be something. Yeah.
Conspiracies, yeah. So yeah, I watched that. That's quite good. Well worth a watch if anyone's interested in watching that. Definitely worth it.
I am now. Yeah.
I also watched Uncut Gems.
Okay. What's this?
So this is the Adam Sandler film, which I mentioned last week on the last week's podcast. It's the one where he's getting great reviews. He didn't win the Oscar for. His performance in this film is incredible. He plays a Jewish jeweler who's trying to pay off some gambling debts to a loan shark, and obviously he's got other debts as well. And basically, it's set in 2012. So in 2010. They find this rare opal diamond,
right?
And it's uncut, and he basically buys it for 100,000, thinking he could sell it for $1 million. He thinks it's been appraised for $1 million, so he brings it back. He needs the money to pay off a lot of debt and a lot of other things. So he's like, okay, look, I could do this. I've got this diamond. As soon as I get $1 million, I can pay off the debt and stuff. And this basketball player comes in, Kevin Grant. I don't know him. But he's someone. Anyway, he takes a shine to that, and he takes it off with him. And Adam Sandler's character thinks, oh, this is brilliant. Look, let me quickly put some money on this game, this basketball game, on this many points, this many wins, or whatever it is. I don't know. He was saying numbers. I didn't understand them. But then basically he wins. The basketball player wins that game with that many points or whatever it is. And he thought, oh, brilliant. I've made that bet. I'm going to win all this money. But the bet got cancelled because they didn't put it through for him.
What?
So he then gets the diamond back, and he's trying to sell it on auction because he needs the $1 million to pay off the loan shark.
Yeah.
So he's got the loan sharks trying to come and get him. He's got this basketball player who wants to buy this gem, and obviously if he buys the gem, he could pay off all his debts. But when it goes to auction, it doesn't reach the numbers he needs it to. No. And he was also he had someone sit in the auction trying to up the pricing as well. Which never works. And so they underpaid for it. And then in the end, he he gets the money from the basketball player, like 180 or something, or 175, and then he uses all of that money to go to Vegas and place a similar bet as he did last time.
Yeah.
The basketball player is obsessed with that gem, uncut gem, and he thinks that's giving him all of these kind of a great game. Basically, when he had it, he had this amazing game, and they won the match. Next game, when he didn't have the gem, he lost the match. So by the third one, he's like, I need the gem because this is what's going to help me win. Yeah. We're going to get to the world's, whatever it is, whatever basketball winning is. So he's obsessed with it. So he's got it. So Adam Sandler's character thinks once he sells it to him, he'll take that money and he will gamble it on that guy doing all these cool things in basketball. And he will win the $1 million+ and then pay off all these debts. And they place the bet in Vegas. And that's kind of like it. So it's this whole kind of story about...
Now it's a basketball game.
Well, they don't really show you the basketball game, but you just hear of it. But it's more about this guy, how he pays off his debt and how he's going to pay off the loan shark. And he's got these people who beat him up, threaten his family, all sorts of stuff to try and get that money back. What's cool is, because it's set in 2012, this won't mean anything to you, but they go to a nightclub and they're playing some Drake in the background. And it's like, this feels like 2012. Because 2012, when I was like 12 years old, I went to the Wireless Festival, and Drake came on stage and he performed that weekend, and they were playing. So it just brought me back in the day. And then there's a guy in the film who was in the club, and they said, "Oh, this guy's gonna blow up massive," and it's The Weeknd. Again, someone you won't know, The Weeknd, and he actually came and performed on Wireless stage. Right? Yes, he came and performed on the Wireless Festival. Okay. When he came and performed back in 2012, I saw him and I thought nothing of him other than he's a good singer. When they put him in the club and they said, "Oh, this cat's going to be really big," and Adam Sandler's like, "I don't get it." I was in the same boat as him. That's why I could relate to Adam Sandler. I was like, "Oh man, I could be
you were there.
I was there. I was saying the same thing about him.
You could lose all
in
that
2012. Exactly. So yes, just that bit was quite cool for me. It's a good film. It's he is really good in it, Adam Sandler. I've never seen him be that good in a film.
Adam Sandler, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
well worth watch. It's on Netflix as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just goes to show that he can act, after all. Because he usually has comedy parts that are comedy by his own making, so...
Yeah, or comedy heavy, aren't they?
Yeah. Excellent, sounds good.
And then I also watched a Netflix TV show called Lock and Key.
Okay.
So this is based on a comic book. And it's a comic book series which has been in kind of development for a while, and then Netflix finally turned it into a TV show. They refer to it as like a supernatural horror kind of TV show. And I don't think it is horror. Maybe slight supernatural kind of elements to it, but...
Yeah, like a thriller?
Not even a thriller, just a straightforward kind of... family go to a house and you think, oh, that's the elements of horror there, and they get keys and then these keys open up things, but there is no horror until I think the last episode when these shadow things come out. But yeah, it's about this family who recently had someone passed away, the dad. Then they move back to his old childhood home, and then when they're there they start to uncover keys, and they find these keys, if you open up certain doors, it opens up something else. And then there's one key which is quite cool, because you put it into the back of your head and it opens up a door, and then if you throw books in through the door, you'll remember everything that was in that book.
Okay.
Which they didn't explore enough, but I thought that's such a cool idea.
Interesting stuff.
Because then you could cheat in exams, because what you could do is just leave Wikipedia open on a laptop, chuck the laptop through, and you know everything.
As long as the exam was based on knowledge, remembering.
Yes, exactly. Regurgitating the same facts.
Yeah.
Or if it was an exam about English Lit and you had to read a book and you're going to be talking about the book.
Yeah, that'd be quite useful, wouldn't it? Hopefully click to the right pages faster if you've got the actual book in front of you as well.
Yeah, so
you don't know where to go.
So then they find the keys. Each key does different things, and they find that there's this other person who wants the keys. This person lives in the well. She escapes. She escapes the well, and then she's released into the world, and then she wants the keys from the family basically. So she can't take them from the family. She has to ask for them, and then the family have to be tricked into giving it to
they
her.
hand them over, yeah, like a vampire having to ask to come in through the door.
Kind of, yeah. And so there's all of that, and they're trying to get all the keys, and there's an Omega key, there's a specific key that she wants, and she goes off and they kind of find it and stuff. But up until the last episode, there's no horror element at all. There's no bits that make you think jump scares or anything. So I don't know why they call it horror. In the last episode, she puts on this crown, and she's got the ability to create shadows, and the shadow puppet stuff, that's quite cool. That seems like a little bit of scary stuff happening. Once that's gone, that's it. It goes back to just being the normal kind of lock and key episodes. It ends on
a mystery of some kind, I'd call it.
Yeah, I'd say it's more of a mystery, yes. It ends where, I won't spoil it, but it ends, and there is definitely going to be a season 2 if enough people watch it, because it's not all concluded.
Yeah, not a cliffhanger, I guess.
It's finished in a way, but then there's enough strands left there for a new season. But they've opened and closed it quite well.
Okay, that's good.
It's fine. It's worth a watch. It's not great. But once I was part committed, I had to just kind of soldier through.
You just keep on going, don't you?
Yeah.
So you'll have a full review of BioShock, all 3 games soon.
Hopefully. Well, no, I'm still on number 1. I like number 1. I think I said the mechanics just feels a little bit dated. Yeah. But other than that, it's really good. It's still a great game. Highly recommend it. It's got some cool fire ups and stuff as well. Like, you can have this one fire up which allows you to set things on fire, and then electrocute stuff as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's really good. It's well worth playing.
Cool. Well, I might play it one day. You never know. I have it off PSN now.
Yes.
For free.
Exactly. Get on it. I also.
Too much.
And then Lock and Key. What was I going to say after that? So Lock and Key finishes. It's okay. And there's another one. I can't remember now. But
good one.
So BioShock. The only thing is, I think this was the same when you played a Skyrim when it was remastered. Yeah. You know, when you're waving your axe around, it just doesn't feel right, even though it's been remastered and brought across.
Yeah.
It just feels a little bit clunky.
Kind of like a lot of the remakes of Spyro and stuff. It's kind of the same game underneath, but it's shiny.
Yeah, and that's the only unfortunate thing. It's just that because it was made for an older console, that it can feel a tiny bit clunky. But it's still a good game. There's loads of world that you can explore, loads of stuff sitting around. It's still fun enough. I also finished watching something called Power.
Okay.
I spoke about this before. It's a TV show. Season 6 is the final season. It left on a cliffhanger where they shot the main protagonist, and then they had everyone come into the same building, but then it stopped. And then after Christmas, we've had each episode explaining what each one of those people did. I kind of had a hinkling on who did the shooting. And then there was an episode before the final one, the penultimate episode, where the guy who's dead, he does turn around and say to his friend, "Oh, let him go." Big hint, being a he. So it can't be a female character, obviously. And then you kind of work out from that who's actually left, who could have killed him. So that was a bit of a letdown, but still good.
I guess who?
Yeah, it's still a great TV show. I loved it. It's unfortunate it's finished now. They're going to do loads of spin-off shows, but the main Power seasons 1 to 6 is complete. Ghost, St. Patrick, he's dead, and now it'll just be whatever continues thereafter, the aftermath of kind of like this drug dealer who built up an empire and then wanted to go straight, wanted to go legitimate by opening businesses and getting into government and all of that. So he's kind of a reformed drug dealer who still gets killed anyway because his past catches up with him. It's that kind of show. But the actual person who kills him isn't someone you'd expect at the first season. But as seasons go on, I think there's a stronger chance of you picking that person out from a lineup of all the suspects.
You're learning more about them.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's good show. Unfortunately, it's finished now. No more Power.
Oh, hey. there'll be more shows, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be something.
I heard Netflix is making them right now.
Maybe I'll give him a call. Like, get on this power.
Yeah. Any previews, or is that all for the reviews?
Yep, that's all the reviews. Previews, I think you've got Sonic. I'm going to mention Ubisoft in previews. So Ubisoft created a game called Tom Clancy's Division. Have you heard of this?
Yeah. I've not played it, but...
So Tom Clancy's Division, I played the first one. I liked it. It's a cover shooter. I like cover shooters if done well. They've released a sequel which came out just last year. And a new DLC is coming out either this month or next month. But to celebrate that, they've reduced the game in the US right now. I don't know when it's coming up to the UK or Europe, to $3.
Wow.
So you can pick it up for $3, which is great. Yeah. So anyone who's got a US account or PlayStation Network or knows it's not that difficult, you can get like a PayPal or PSN America top up, and then you can buy the game from the American market. Because it's not because it's not a disc, it'll still work on your console. Yeah. So you can still get hold of it. If you can and you know how to do it, highly recommend it. It's only $3, $3. So about £2.50.
Yeah.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, excellent.
So anyone out there who's got available also on Xbox and on your PC. So not just specific to what we play.
So if you have a PC, you'll probably be able to get hold of it even easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Cool. And yeah, you can make a PSN account in any region that you want to, on the same machine if you want to. But yeah, you usually have to use credit card from that country, which you won't have. And you have to use money's top ups, don't you? So yeah.
Yeah, and for $3, it's worth it.
It's worth all the hassle.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's I think $7.99 in the UK.
Okay.
But if it comes down to, it's not bad, but it's not $3, is it? £2.50.
It's not, but I don't know. I don't know if it is worth the extra effort or not. It depends. I mean, I wouldn't buy it for $7.99. I'd want it for the £3, but.
Exactly, knowing that someone's getting it cheaper than you, right?
Yeah.
I think I definitely want it same price.
I mean, I found a game this week. It's not really a preview, but I hopefully will play it eventually. But it's a game that I've been waiting to get for cheap for a long time. I found Watch Dogs finally on PS4 for £2 in a charity shop. So yes, that's the price I wanted to pay for it, at least under a £5. Even when PSN has been discounting it to like under a £10, I'm just like, it's not quite enough. I just want to pay this much for it. I just need to get Watch Dogs 2 now for the set.
Yeah, so you got not bad, shout.
And I kind of wanted it on a physical copy really anyway, because I have the driver games, all of them in physical copies, and Watch Dogs are kind of a sequel to those, like not official sequel, but the company moved on from doing driver games to doing Watch Dogs games. So as far as I know, so they're kind of a set for me. And I'll finally get to visit their version of Chicago, because I love seeing video games versions of real cities. It's brilliant. Saves money and travel.
Yeah, exactly. You can see the beautiful streets.
Yeah, you go to Liberty City, just go see the Statue of Happiness instead of going to the real thing and seeing the Statue of Liberty. I think you went to the real thing at one point. Yeah. So I just played the game. Just play GTA 4.
To be fair, I went when it was a cold day as well, so it's not the nicest thing.
It's cold a lot in New York. That's the thing you have to remember.
Exactly.
It's quite high up.
The thing is, right, for someone who hasn't been, which is yourself, you know what the weather's like.
I know more than you, yeah.
And I bet you've driven down the streets more than I have.
Well, you think about it, yeah. In GTA San Andreas, this is how you have to know, yeah. In GTA San Andreas, you travel to Liberty City, which is New York, for one mission, just one place there, and it's snowing there, cold. So it's a cold place.
Yeah.
Stick to California if you want it to be hot.
Yes,
or Florida,
exactly.
Or Vice City, Miami.
That's more me.
Yeah, Chicago is probably a bit cold as well because it's the sort of same level as New York.
Yeah, so previews, you're talking Sonic, so you're going to be watching Sonic this week.
Okay, I could talk about that. I have no idea about it, apart from, what's his name's in it? As Robotnik or Eggman? Jim Carrey?
Yeah,
Jim
and
Carrey,
it stars Cyclops.
Okay.
From the original Stars movies, you know Cyclops, right?
No idea.
Oh, James Marsden. Do you remember the original X-Men movie? The first one?
Yeah. Okay.
He's the guy who plays Cyclops in that.
Okay, cool.
He's in it as well.
Excellent. See, you know the stuff.
James Marsden.
Fun.
And Ben Swartz is in there. He's a really funny guy. He was in Parks and Recs. Jeff Fowler. It's his directorial debut. Yeah.
Okay.
Never done anything before.
I have high hope for him then. That's good.
Actually, it's getting good reviews, right? It's getting mixed reviews, but for a video game, it's doing quite good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good video game stuff these days, like the Pokemon movie. I liked. I still go on about Detective Pikachu. I thought was good.
Oh, you still do that?
I do. And Dora, which it wasn't from a video game.
It's not a video game.
She did do video games as well.
She did. She started video games, yes.
And to be fair, she does make you pretend that you're in a video game when you're watching the show. Yeah. She tells you to answer questions and stuff. So.
It's true.
And the World of Warcraft game, not a few years ago, that was pretty good. So.
It's terrible. Yeah.
They're doing good games now. They're good films. So.
Yeah, Doom came out last year. Remember, you picked your best video game adaptation movie last year, and Witcher was a TV show, but that was really good. I got to the end of that; it's very good.
I still haven't played the game, so I don't know. I don't know if I can watch the series.
I think you can.
Yeah,
I think you can. Yeah.
Probably can. I just don't want to.
Exactly. It's two different things. I think you can, but you just don't want to.
I'm not motivated. I do want to play Witcher, but...
Witcher is one of those games where you'll spend ages doing side quests and pet stuff, and you'll grow a family or whatever it is, and you'll never play the main game, like in Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly. That's Skyrim.
Spend ages kind of just walking around doing other things.
And the other one, what was it? Oblivion.
Oh yeah, same again. Building houses, having your empire. Yeah.
Well, in that case, it's going through all the guilds and side quests for those. Like, yeah, I'm the king of the guilds, mage guild, and the thieves guild, and this guild and that guild. But I've not done anything to save the world. It's probably destroyed by now. I don't know.
Exactly. You've taken so long.
They should put a timer on these things. You know, the main story should have some sort of driving force that makes you do something in like at least a week. Like, oh shit, something's happened. You have to go and do something now, or you're going to lose like this entire area of the game or something.
Yeah, Fallout 4 does that quite well, because if you don't look after certain areas, it gets overrun by the feral things again. So if you build an area, and then if you've just left it by itself, every so often you get a message say this is under attack. So you've got to jump back and help them out.
That's more about bases though, isn't it? And sort of that's more distractions.
Yeah.
Unless it only puts that in when you're not following the main story, that would be useful. Just to make you finish that story.
Unless if they destroy the whole place, if you leave it alone and then just destroy the whole thing, and it's just overrun by ferals or whatever it is, or I don't know, whatever.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think it would add a different element. Might get you kickstarting into the main missions.
Yeah, there's definitely room for something different to be done. Yeah.
So
anything else?
No. I think that's enough. That's no more previews for this week.
Okay.
How can they contact us?
Thank you for joining me, Mike Obrick.
Yes, you're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you for joining us, viewer.
Listener,
because we're not recording ourselves.
You can watch this on YouTube, but it isn't visual. It is just audio.
Just audio, because we don't have video at the moment.
No, one day
that would require more preparation.
I think once Bill comes to our house and fixes the Wi-Fi, right? So that's when things will get easier. I'm waiting for, that's the problem. After Tim Cook doesn't really get back to us enough, Mr. Apple, so we have to rely on Bill Gates to come to the house. We'll be inviting. I know, exactly. If they just come to the house, we'd fix all of these issues. We wouldn't have recording problems again.
Yeah. They should sponsor us then.
Exactly, yes. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, tell a friend, write 5-star comments, and then just trash us if you like, just so we'll read them. Contact us on... Do you want to tell everyone?
The below in the description.
Yes. On our email address, My Guy Reviews, on our Twitter account, MyGuy_reviews, on our Instagram, My Guy Reviews, and we're still on YouTube as well. So again, My Guy Reviews. So yeah, hit us up in anything.
Excellent.
And thanks for listening.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
No, it's me that's talking.
Brilliant. My Guy Reviews, the podcast.